Hello and welcome to our webinar today. We are so excited to have you. My name is Shannon C. Smith and I am spokesperson for Florida Prepaid. We are here today to share information and experiences from real families that are using Florida Prepaid plans at different stages of their life journey, their education journey, really to kind of share with you how Florida Prepaid can really work at every stage of life. The focus today is basically to show you the different options available to you and to give you information so that you can really start thinking about how to save for higher education for a child in your life, whether you're a parent, an aunt, a dad, a grandma, whatever that may be. If there's a child in your life that you want to start saving for higher education for, this webinar is going to help answer those questions. Like I said, you've got real people on this webinar who have real different stories about how they've used Florida Prepaid. And each of us is here today to kind of share where we are at a different stage, right? Planning for a child, already having a child that is a baby, right? Having a child that you save for that's already in college. And we have a college student on with us, Stephen. So a really great broad spectrum so that you can kind of see like when you're a new family starting to think about it, and then when you're actually at the end of the road and you're actually using your plan. And so by sharing these experiences, we're really just hoping to give you quality information and to answer along the way any of the common questions that you probably have, and to address those and really just give you the information that you need. We really just want to show you how Florida Prepaid works and that it works, again, like I said, at every single stage, and really reminding you that you don't have to have all of it figured out today, right? Like it's really just about starting to learn. The other bonus is that we're going to share with you how you can get $50 added to your college savings just by getting started this month. So with that, let's go ahead and do some brief introductions and then we'll kind of roll into the rest of the webinar. As I mentioned, I serve as a spokesperson for Florida Prepaid College Savings Plans, and I am in the middle of my first pregnancy and I am due in early August. My husband and I are actually already starting to plan for college savings because, of course, I know the value of this program because I've been working in it for so long, but it's great to actually be in the place that I've seen so many families be in over the last 10 years. All right, Brianna.
Hi, my name is Brianna. I am a mom of 3 here in Orlando. I have a 9-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a freshly 1-year-old son. And college savings has been
Hello, I'm Tracy. I'm a mom of 2. Both of my kiddos are in college, Stephen being one of them. They're both at University of Central Florida. And I'm here in Tampa. Started our Stephen was just 6 months old. So.
Oh, I love that. All right, Stephen.
I'm Stephen. I go to UC. Help I can get since I've started with UCF, so making it very easy on me, which is nice.
That is wonderful. Thank you all so much for being here. Again, we're going to go deeper into each of your Florida Prepaid experiences, but first I think it will be helpful to just set the stage for people that may be watching that may not understand kind of an overview of how Florida Prepaid works. So I'll first address the biggest question. What is a Florida Prepaid plan? A Florida Prepaid plan is a tax-advantaged 529 plan, and it allows families to lock in today's prices and protect against future tuition and campus housing increases. Think of Florida Prepaid plans as like insurance coverage, right? You are purchasing coverage today for the future cost of tuition, and you're doing it at today's prices. This means if tuition skyrockets, between now and when your child actually attends college, you are covered. You basically have the quote unquote insurance. If the cost of tuition goes up, you're not covering the difference. Florida Prepaid is covering that difference, and that is part of the guarantee. Now, while Florida Prepaid plans cover the cost at Florida colleges and universities, and in-state trade and technical schools, you should also know that the same plan can be used nationwide, different types of schools, right? Public, private, trade, technical outside of Florida. You also have up to 10 years after a child graduates from high school to use the plan, which means you are locking in that insurance and that coverage, right, for up to 28 years from the time you buy a plan. Like that would be the scenario of like if you have a newborn and you buy it today, you not only have the 18 years until they graduate high school, but you have another 10 to actually use that plan. So I just think that's kind of incredible. Second, you may be wondering, how does a prepaid plan differ from a traditional savings plan, right? Like at a bank, for example, or even a 529 investment plan. Prepaid plans are by like the IRS government guidelines, those are a type of 529 plan, okay? So is our investment 529 plan. They are both tax advantage, which means the savings that you are putting in there are not taxed when they are set aside and used for educational expenses. Money put into a bank savings account, as a contrast, are taxable. So that's one of the advantages, is that when you're using a prepaid or an investment 529, not taxed. The investment 529 plans allow you to save not only for tuition, but other expenses. Okay. So Stephen probably knows, right? He's got housing, he's got meal plans, he's got electronics, right? He might have classes that have, very specific, lab things going on that he's got to pay for. Those do not have a required monthly payment on them, okay? But monthly contributions, I will say, are encouraged because it sort of compounds and you're really, building on that investment over time. It's invested based on the strategy that you choose. Typically, people are going to choose an age-based scenario that is much more conservative the closer they get to college age and more aggressive early on. Our website will walk you through all of that in a very simple way. The good news is you do not need to be a tax expert to do a 529 investment plan. I know this to be true. Prepaid 529 plans, by contrast, can be used for tuition and they can be used for housing. These do require a monthly payment, okay? Or they can be paid in a lump sum. Most people choose a monthly payment. And the amount is going to be based on the child's age, right? And basically the plan that you choose and how long you have to save. Together, 529 prepaid and 529 investment can actually allow families to diversify your college savings. So as an example, you could purchase 1 to 4 years of a prepaid plan. Say you're going to do 1 to 2 years maybe to protect against future tuition and dorm costs rising. But then you could also have the investment plan to help save for other expenses. Okay, so that's just one example. The investment plan is tied to the stock market. Okay. Prepaid plans are not. They are state-backed. They offer security. If you are someone who is less comfortable with risk or the idea of investing in the stock market, a prepaid plan is a great vehicle for saving, right? They're guaranteed by the state. You cannot lose any money you put in. And again, unlike the 529 investment plan, they do not go up and down with the stock markets. So that's a win. I would say that the prepaid plans are designed for families that want a fixed monthly budget. They want to know exactly what they're getting into, and they want the peace of mind of not having to worry, like, am I saving enough based on how much tuition might go up? Because that's always like an unknown, right? When you lock in your plan, you know that you are saving enough for the coverage that you signed up for. So that's just a brief overview. Again, I think we're going to address other questions as we share our stories. And so with that, we'll get into it. I'll start only because I'm at the early stage. I'm at the stage where I don't even have a newborn, but I know a baby is on the way. Okay, so I do have 2 sons that I adopted when I was single, actually from foster care when they were 6 and 9. Now, I did not have to look into a prepaid plan for them because the state of Florida actually provides tuition coverage when children come through the child welfare system. So that's just a sort of unrelated fun fact, but that is true. Okay. But I have been representing Florida Prepaid for 10 years, right? Like I said. And so when our grandson was born 3 years ago, we purchased him, my husband and I, immediately we got him 2 one-year prepaid plans to basically get him started on that journey. So if you're a grandparent watching, you should know that this is a great way to provide what is truly a gift, not only for the grandchild, but also for the parents of that grandchild, because you're helping the grandchild save early, but you're also giving the parents the peace of mind and taking an expense away that for a new family often can be challenging, right? So it really is just a great gift. But today, maybe, in a different sort of order, because we do have a grandson, we are also expecting our first baby together. So I find myself in this seat of like many of the expectant moms that I've talked to over the years in talking about, college savings. And I think it's easy to assume that now is too early to start thinking about it. But I know that, the earlier that we start thinking about it, getting the research done, and deciding what we want to do, and then actually start saving, the financial strain will be much less. And I think Tracy's going to talk about this later, right? She started early, Brianna's starting early. And so it's like by the time they're actually ready to go to college, it's much less strain. The newborn prices start at $29 a month for prepaid plans. And so I can tell you, because I've already started the baby registry, which PS, that's a little overwhelming, but I've started it, and diapers cost more than $29 a package. Okay, so less than a cost of diapers. And I think the cost is probably one of the things that I was most surprised about when I even first started learning about Florida Prepaid, because when you think about college, right, that's like one of the biggest expenses of life, right? You've got like a car, a house, and like college is one of the big ones. And you assume it's going to be very high, but the reality, and I think the thing that makes Florida Prepaid so great for families is that it allows you to start in small monthly payments that are affordable. And the plan builder tool that we have on our website, myfloridaprepaid.com, allows you to put in the age of the child and just basically kind of play around with it. What's your monthly budget? How old is the child? What could you afford to do today? And I'm also super excited. This is so big, guys. Florida Prepaid now allows expecting moms to open a Florida Prepaid plan before the baby is born. Okay. So what you would do, yes. And so basically you would go in on the plan builder tool, you're just going to put in the due date, okay, of the baby. It's going to let you enroll in that plan. And then once the child is born, you can come back in and add in like the social security number and the things you need to add. But, and again, the process takes 10, 15 minutes online. So we are going to do that this month. And just basically, it's a thing that you check off the list, because I think it is true that once you have the baby, Tracy, Brianna, you can attest to this. I'm new to this. You can confirm. I've been told that the world just turns upside down. Okay. And so all the things that you thought, oh, I'm going to do that as soon as the baby's born, you forget. You're sleep deprived. All the things are happening. And so we're so excited that we get to offer that. So if you're expecting or just had a baby, here's my 2 tips for you. Okay. You're going to take 15 minutes to explore the Florida Prepaid website. Again, myfloridaprepaid.com. Just educate yourself about what is there. Right? Look at the plan builder tool. And then second is take some time to look at your monthly budget and identify 2 to 3, what I would call non-essential expenses that you could shift into college savings. Okay. Because think about $29, right? How fast do we spend that at a coffee shop? How fast? I mean, I can't walk into Target for $29. Okay. It's at least like a $50 visit. Okay. So these are the kind of things, even like subscription services and all those things. And so just kind of do that and think about where could we shift that, because it could be as easy as just starting with 1 year of Florida Prepaid for a baby. $29 a month comes out of your banking account. You might not even notice it, right? But you know that you're saving for a year of higher education that they do not have to borrow for. Okay, enough of me. Brianna, I would love to have you share your story, and I can sort of let you start, and then I'll prompt you with some questions too that I think would be good for the people to hear about.
Awesome. Well, I think you hit some great notes on the head, because when you have a baby, you literally forget a lot of things. And one of those for me was a Florida Prepaid plan. I tell this story to all my friends. I went to the Prego Expo when I was pregnant with my first daughter. It was about 9 years ago. And I remember walking past this table and I was like, what is that? And I stopped and they explained everything to me. And I was like, wow, I really need to get on that. And I never did it. And it was Florida Prepaid. And fast forward 4 years later, I'm pregnant with their sister. I go to the Prego Expo again. I see this table and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? And then I'm like, well, no, I know exactly what this is. I can't believe I never did this. Had her sister and still never signed up until it dawned on me at the age of 5 that I had not signed up my oldest daughter at the time. So 5 years is what it took me to sign up for my oldest daughter's first Florida Prepaid plan.
Oh my God.
And that wasn't just by like mistake. It was one, I forgot, but two, also kind of like a moment like, I don't know if I can afford this.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they explained everything to me, it just really like went in one ear and kind of out of the other. You kind of like put it on the back burner. I'll look into it. But 5 years?
Well, you bring up
I
a point
can
too about
really say.
multiples, right? And so, and now you had a baby who's now 1. So for
Yeah.
people that are watching that do have multiple kids, like how did you kind of decide, okay, we've got 2 and now we've got 3. How are we fitting that into our budget? Because I think one of the things people might assume is I have to pay for all 4 years. And if I can't do all 4 years for all the kids, then I'm not going to do it at all. But that's really not the reality, right? So share a little bit about your experience.
So with my first daughter, mind you, I just said she was 5. I signed her off with just a 1 year plan. I was like, that's what we can do. That's what I can
Yeah.
afford. I can cut back on, like you said, coffee once a week, and that would
Mhm.
cover essentially what I needed to. Now, fast forward, and I kind of made the same mistake again. I waited until my middle girl was about 3.5 before I actually signed her up. And then I knew I needed to make just a little more tweaks and adjustments.
Yeah.
It's honestly surprising how affordable it actually
Mm.
is, and just exactly what we needed to tweak in our lifestyles.
Mm.
But I did not make the mistake the third time. That $29 a month was I'm like, okay, boom. I know that I can do this and we
Yeah.
can do this. And honestly, I didn't have to cut back more at the coffee shop. I honestly just readjusted our Disney annual passes. We're at Disney all the time. So we just went down a pass, and it just did what we needed to do to
Yeah.
to make it work for our budget. Um, Another great aspect of the program that I really like is when it comes to birthdays. We
Mm.
tend to not ask for gifts from family members. They always ask like, what can they do for the kids? Because a lot of our family lives in Maryland or DC, and we say, hey, you can contribute to their Florida Prepaid plan.
Yeah, so when you have a plan, guys, you're going to get a dashboard and a link that you can send out to friends and family to do exactly what Brianna is saying. And don't you find that they're actually excited to do that maybe more than just a gift that's going to get thrown away? Because they know that it's going to go to something that's so life-changing and
They
lasting.
love it. They love it. My aunts love it. My mom loves it. My uncles love it because they're like, wow, like they don't really have anything like that for us up north.
Yeah.
I didn't have that growing up. So they find it so interesting, but then they're like, wow, at least I know I'm putting it into something that they can access into the future. And for me and my husband, we're like,
So you also raise a good point. This, I always say, right? This is a benefit of living in Florida because the child has to be a resident of Florida to participate in either the prepaid plan program or the 529 investment plan. And I always say, I equate this to the fact that we have no income tax in Florida. Okay. It is a benefit of living here. And I know Steven's going to talk a little bit later about scholarships, including Bright Futures. And so the fact that we have Florida Prepaid plus Bright Futures it's just like it's such a winning combination for families because it really can mean that if you play your cards right and plan ahead and then encourage your child to do well in school, you can walk away with zero debt in college, which is really the goal of everything. One more question, Brianna, and then I would love for you to also kind of give a tip that you would to somebody, if you 9 years ago, right, that you'd want to give. But you mentioned that there were like little things that you had to cut back on, but what kind of like gave you the confidence, and I think especially once you had your son, of thinking, I waited for the others, but like I know this is the right choice and I'm not waiting this time.
I think fully understanding what exactly I was getting into really set the bar. I think in the beginning, people are hesitant. I'm not gonna lie, you're like,
Sure. Right.
I
What
don't
you're
know.
describing, we hear so often at things like Prego Expos, where it's a parent that's about to have maybe a second or third child. They already have one that's 4 or 5, and they're like, oh, I didn't sign up yet. If you're watching and that's you, there is no judging here. This is just life. That's which is why we're here, is to kind of disarm all of those myths and just let you know that you're not alone. This is a situation for many families.
That's why I tell that story. Like I tell it all the time.
Yep.
She's 9. She just turned 9 last week. And she was 5. She was 5. And I honestly, I don't kick myself for it because it happened exactly when it needed to.
Sure.
But I do tell people all the time, like, just don't wait, because if I had started just a bit sooner for her, it would have been, I think, not more manageable, but I would have been a bit more at ease. And it's not saying that I'm not now, but it just really made it dawn on me that, like, why is this something that I'm waiting for? It makes it stress free for her. It's stress free for me. I think Florida Prepaid does an amazing job making that dashboard seamless, making the process smooth. Like, to just go on there and plug in a birthday and really see your options right there in front of you. I think that was my missing component in the beginning, was that I was just looking at the papers that was given to me and just kind of like, okay, I'll do it when I get to it. And then it went 4 years
Right.
later, and I'm like, wait a minute, I know what this is.
Yeah.
But I think really that driving point over the finish line was that, hey, she's getting older. This is going to hit us, at a point that I don't want us to be unprepared.
Right.
My mom, took out student loans for me, or took out loans to help me with my first year of school. and I'm very grateful for it. It was, something that really helped me. But then after that, I was, kind of on my own for the rest of it. And it really put me in debt
Yeah.
afterwards. So to be able to say, hey, here you go, like you're set, you got this, and don't worry. I feel like it's the best gift that you can give your kids for the future. Um, I know, like now I know like the ins and out, and I know Steven's gonna talk about it later with his own experience with like bright futures and things like that. But looking at stuff like that and realizing like these are other options for our kids, it really just helped me be like, all right, let's just do it, do it now. Because my husband too, he had student loan debt. He didn't have help, so for him, he was in it, and we're in it, and we're just like, wow, if we can really help our kids not have to go through that same thing, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
So
what's your tip for families? What would you tell families if they were you 9 years ago?
it's two. There's two. Do it now, do it now, do it now. And the second, utilize that dashboard with that link to get it out to your families. I know so many parents who complain about like, oh, like for birthdays and holidays, like we got them toys and then they got them toys and I'm tripping over Legos and they ate this and there's slime everywhere. And it's just like, hey, instead of that, how about you help contribute towards that? Like my aunts, they do it and then they tell me, and then we'll print like a little certificate and we put it in a little bag, and then they might get them like an outfit or something, which is nice. Kids need clothes, right? And it's just like, oh my goodness. And the kids and my kids go, we got money. Yeah, you got money for college, and it's right where you need to be. It's held for you, and when it's time for you to go or you choose what you want to do, it's going to be right there waiting for you. And they love it. Like they love it because kids know. My middle girl likes to say, oh, I'm rich. Yeah, you're rich. Rich in college savings.
That's awesome.
Rich in
I
college
love that.
savings.
That is so great. And I love that they're aware that their college is being saved for. The research shows, if you're watching this, that a child with college savings, even just a portion of what they ultimately need, is 4 times more likely to go to college and graduate from college. So it's just a powerful motivator for your child once they're old enough to kind of know what that means. Speaking of a parent and their child, we've got Tracy and we've got Stephen Shaw. So Tracy, talk to us about your story. What I love is like, I feel very, I've been joking, I am 48. Okay. So I am a very late person to be about to bear a child. But so I joke that our retirement is significantly delayed, but Tracy has been, basically she's in that empty nest world. And so I know you've got lots of friends who are probably they might be in a very different boat from you. So I'd love you to share your story about how you started saving prepaid.
Absolutely. So, I mean, when I signed Steven up when he was 6 months, we had actually only been in Florida for a couple of years. So just to kind of, my friend told me how much it was, and I thought it was like a hoax. I actually went and Googled to see whether or not it was real. I'm like, you could actually do this for this amount. I was still paying off my husband's school loans. So I was like, I was actually kind of surprised. So Steven's college was paid off by the time he was 5.
Oh, wow. Did you do the 5-year plan? The 5-year? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if you're watching, you can do monthly until they're ready to go to college. You could do a 5-year plan, which is going to look more like a car payment, right? It's just bigger, or you can do a lump sum. So I love that you had that example. Okay.
Yeah. And then, Sadie, when she was born, we didn't start hers until she was 3, for budgetary purposes. I just couldn't make it work with his. When we could, I did the same thing. We did a 5-year plan with her. So she was paid for by the time she was 8. Wow. So it was incredible. So when it was done, it was done. You didn't think about it again. And you guys talk about the dashboard. Just when I signed Steven up, I got those coupon books.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So if you're watching, we are tech savvy now. Everything is online. When Tracy was yeah, I do. I remember coupon books like for car payments. So if you're familiar with that, that's basically what she's talking about. But you can do it all online now.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. So, but yeah, so it was amazing. I was gonna say, I think Steven's probably biggest annoyance was when he actually went to school. I'm like, okay, so you have to call the financial aid office, make sure they know you have Florida Prepaid. So he calls, and what were you on? He was on hold for what, like an hour? And he's like, no, they said I'm all set, Mom. And I'm like, no, you got to call back. I'm like, I need to know, like, how do they know? Like, is it tied to your social security number? I think I made them call like 2 or 3 times.
But
Yes.
what you found, right, is that it's actually pretty easy. Like it is tied to their social security
easy.
number. So they just know when they show up at campus, like, oh, you have a payment plan. And so if you're watching Florida Prepaid, we are in contact with the universities and colleges, obviously. And so that's the great thing. It's not like you have to go through all of this red tape bureaucracy to actually use the plan once it is time for them to use it, which is another way of, alleviating.
So, so I put it all on Steven. So when my daughter, Sadie, went to school, I was like, oh, you don't have to do anything. So, Steven had paid for all of it.
I did.
So, Tracy, before we go to Stephen, I want to talk a little bit about, you said you had to wait a little bit to start for your daughter, right? Because you probably decided we want to pay it off sooner rather than later. So those payments are going to be a little higher, which again, that's a family choice. That's everybody's budget is different.
Yeah.
I love the example of like, we waited a little bit, but as soon as we could do it, we did it. Did you have to make, budget decisions and sacrifices back then? And now that you're here now, was it worth it, right? I mean, you're here now. I think do you have friends who have not done this and they're stressing out about their kids' college expenses? Like, talk about that a little bit.
One of our neighbors, she has 3 kids. One's done with college, but 2 are still in it. But she says it's like a mortgage payment. She has another mortgage payment going on for college tuition. And then, the housing on top of it. So, thankfully, I mean, I can't, I say it all the time. There is absolutely not have been able to afford sending them to college if it wasn't for this. Like it's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. And is it, how does it feel kind of, you're in that empty nest? Are you able to, because I'm asking based on what I hear a lot of people say, you can only save for their college or for your retirement, right? But that's not actually true. Like if you do it right and save early enough, you can actually enjoy both, which I think is what you're able to do now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Date nights are mandatory in my house. Now you have that ability, especially since we're empty nesters. My husband always says he has to entertain me, and that's kind of true. So with my kids gone, I'm like, all right, no, we like to go out. We both have a true appreciation for wine. So a nice bottle of wine. But we don't have, we're not paying additional bills for tuition, and we don't have any of that. So I'd rather spend it on dinner and wine.
That's awesome. Even though you might have had to sacrifice that when you were paying for it.
Absolutely.
But it's like now you get to enjoy it. Yeah. Okay, so Steven.
We enjoy it more now, if that makes sense. You have a better appreciation for such things, so it's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even like travel and things like that, you'd be able to appreciate more,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really great. So Stephen, what does it feel like, knowing that tuition is covered? So tell us a little bit about, your college experience. Do you have scholarships? I think you mentioned that earlier, and what that looks like today for you as a junior, you said, right? You're a junior?
Yes, I'm a junior at UCF. I'm doing mechanical engineering. It's been very helpful actually, because at first, freshman year, like my mom said, we didn't know how to like necessarily work ourselves. So she made me call the financial aid office, and she couldn't believe that, like, because I'd call, don't worry about it, you're all set, and she didn't believe it. So I'd call back. But every year they've had it set up. It's already been there. I've got the 75% Bright Futures and then the prepaid.
Nice.
So it's been very helpful, because freshman year when I lived in the dorms, it'd go towards my tuition, and anything left over would go into my dorms.
Nice.
And then left over that would just go right back to us, which has been very helpful. But now that I'm in an apartment, it just pays for my tuition. Then whatever comes back to us can help pay for my apartment rent, which is very nice. And
wow,
then,
I love that. How does this compare to some of your friends? Like, do you see others that are maybe struggling more because they didn't have prepaid, or?
Yeah, because I have a couple out-of-state friends that go to school. One's my roommate, but the difference is unbelievable because they have to deal with a lot more hassles with payments and everything, and the price difference is pretty. It's a pretty aggressive price difference. So it's pretty seamless for me because I don't have to worry about it each semester. It automatically gets taken out or put in, and they have to go in and make bigger payments, obviously, because they don't have anything set up. So
yeah, you talked about mechanical engineering. One of the things that we find happens is that for some people, when they're in college and they are kind of facing all this, they're taking on student loans, they know they're going to be facing loan debt. And then when it comes time to decide, like, which job am I going to take? Or, can I take this internship in the summer, or do I have to work just to cover, my college bills? And so for someone like you that has, not only Florida Prepaid, you've got Bright Futures on top of it. So if you're watching, this is the scenario we see a lot. What will happen is you'll get a check every semester for all of that tuition coverage that wasn't used, right? And so that allows you to do exactly what Stephen said, cover housing, books, whatever those expenses are. But if you don't have that, it can feel like the choices are limited. Like, oh, I can't take that internship because I have to keep working to cover my tuition bills, or I can't take the job I really want because it pays a little bit less than the job, over here. And so is that something that you're kind of aware of, Stephen, as you think about like what you actually want to do once you're graduating?
Definitely, because it allowed me to shoot for a bigger degree, because mechanical engineering is a long degree and guarantees me finishing in 4 years is very slim. So it helps pay for some of the extra schooling I have to do, because UCF's program for engineering is a lot longer than just a typical program.
Okay.
So it helps pay for the extra schooling I have to get. And then this summer, I'm not going to be able to take any classes because, like you just said, I'm planning for an internship. So it's letting me have the opportunity to build my career, because if I build the foundation of, if I take more time in college, I'm still getting my classes paid for and helped out with all the scholarships, but being able to take the internship, I can help build my college career. So when I go out into the real world, it helps set up for a better supported career path rather than going out with no experience almost.
Oh, absolutely. Internships are so critical. That's amazing. So you guys, this has been so great. Oh, actually, so Tracy and Stephen, you give us a tip. We need a tip, one from each of you, if you have one.
Well, my tip is going to be very similar. Just do it. It is super easy online now. You don't have to do the coupon book even, but just do it. I mean, and everybody, you do get questions about like Bright Futures. Oh, you don't have to because you have Bright Futures. So ours helped with, we did the tuition only, so that helped with the housing for the remainder of the years. And then when the kids get scholarships, the first 2 years they went towards housing. And I told Stephen, now that he's a junior, when he gets his scholarships, it can actually go into his pocket. So he has a little bit of extra incentive to do better and fill out all those extra forms, because then he can use that for what he wants to. So it's really really rather incredible to see how it all comes together and how easy it is. Like I said, I when my friend told me about it, I literally Googled it because I thought there was absolutely no way that you could pay for 4 years of tuition for what we did. So
But
it was incredible.
But you can.
Yeah.
All right, Stephen, what's your tip? And maybe it's either for I don't know. I guess maybe it's for a parent who's watching, who's like, my kid is so young.
Yeah.
It's forever till they're in college.
I'd say take advantage of it, because it's been really helpful for me. I have no student loan debt, and seeing some of my friends build up the debt, it's like your almost first year of work's just gonna be paying off that stuff. So it's like coming out of school not to have to worry about like crippling debt. It's like, because the interest on that stuff just sucks. So
Yeah.
if you can get out of school and just immediately start to save up, that's a lot better start to life than having to worry about paying everything off.
Oh, I love that. And I look at Stephen, and I also know that like in a blink of an eye, like our son who isn't even born yet will be like in this position. So
It
it's like,
happens
it's just so great.
fast.
Time moves so fast. If today's conversation sparked something for you, I also want you to know that April is a really great time to get started. So we have a $50 incentive for any new Florida prepaid plans that are open between April 1 and April 30th. When you open that plan, we will put $50 into your Florida prepaid account. And again, it's just our way of saying congratulations on getting started, and we want to be part of that college savings journey with you. Just a couple of more minutes that we have to wrap, and I just want to go ahead and address some of the common hesitations. We've addressed some of them, but number one, we get a lot of, what if my child does not go to a Florida public college or university? The answer is the value of your prepaid plan can be used public or private, in state or out. If they go out of state, we would send to that institution what we would have sent in Stephen's example to UCF, right? If he had gone to Georgia Tech, right, for mechanical engineering, we would have sent to Georgia Tech what we would have sent to UCF. Now, in that scenario, it doesn't go as far because, like Stephen said, out of state tuition, wherever you go, is more expensive, but you don't lose the value of your plan. So the coverage stays intact. Can grandparents contribute? Check. I think we addressed that. They sure can. And it's a great gift. What if their higher education plans change? listen, they have 10 years after high school graduation to decide what they're going to do. If you have, 1-year plans, and those are all based on university tuition credit hours, but they go to a state college, you're going to have some extra tuition coverage left over. You'll get a refund for that. If they go the trade and technical route, which we're seeing more of, right? These are high demand careers, and many of them pay quite a lot more than my journalism degree that I got coming out of the University of Florida. So we're seeing it, right? It's popular, and these are high demand. And so if that happens, you're probably also going to have extra tuition coverage in your plan. And again, you'll get a full refund of everything that's not used. If you move out of Florida before they go to college, you can still be paying on your plan. And when it's time for them to actually attend higher education, college, university, whatever, the benefit is they can always come back to Florida and qualify for in-state tuition, even if they're not living here anymore, just by having a Florida prepaid plan. So it actually gives them more options. They have in-state tuition eligibility, not only where they're actually living, but where they want to come back to in the case of Florida. So those are just some of our myths. Again, thank you to our attendees for being here today. I just, your takeaways are just so great. I think the 3 that I heard the most of was every single family's journey is different. Florida Prepaid is working at every stage, whether you start planning before they're born, whether you wait until they're 5, whether you do for one and then wait a little bit for another. It's all there. And I think, this is a great time to get started. The school year's ending, right? But we know that we only have so many school years until they're off to college, right? Or off to career path or whatever that looks like. And so this really is a good time to take some time and just listen. I want to also say, if you have questions, you can, put them in this chat. Also, you can email info@myfloridaprepaid.com. We'll get back to you within a few days for sure on those questions. And again, visit myfloridaprepaid.com. Take a look around. It takes about 15 minutes to open a plan. You can even now do it from your mobile phone because of our website. It's very user friendly. And again, $50 just for signing up between now and April 30th. And you can share this webinar with other families as well. So thank you all for being here and for sharing your stories. I think it's been very eye-opening for a lot of people. And I see future me and all of you in some way. And I think hopefully the people that are watching see a piece of themselves in each of our stories and can just relate and know that Florida Prepaid is approachable and it's meant to be affordable and easy and to manage and lower all of our stress, which we get a lot of as parents and as college students, right? All of the stages of life can be stressful in some way. So thank you all again and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.